Hello, everyone. I wish you a wonderful good morning here from Cologne, Germany. I have the honor to guide you through this webinar today, dealing with the topic Hong Kong, new business perspective by lifting the world's strictest pandemic rules. And we will get to the bottom of this. Before we begin, a little bit of organizational matters. Overall, today we have a rather short webinar, and it will last about half an hour. You will be muted during the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the question box here on the right. And we will try to answer our questions during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. If there is a question that cannot be answered due to a lack of time, please feel free to email me right after the webinar. The webinar will also be recorded, and if you wish, we can send you the recordings afterwards. The same goes for the presentation. Okay, let's begin. Please go to the second slide, to the agenda.
Oh, agenda was here.
Perfect. Yes, so a little bit about me and also about us. My name is Mark Hebecker, and I work as a business development manager at Maier and Vidorno Altios. For those who don't know Maier and Vidorno Altios yet, we are a consulting firm specifically focused on internalization. That means we are supporting primarily small and medium-sized companies in entering and in expanding in global markets for 30 years now. Our goal is to help companies to facilitate and to accelerate their international development by setting up and restructuring their sales structures in foreign markets. For that, we provide a comprehensive offer of tailor-made services, ranging from market development to M&A projects, as well as HR and/or subsidiary management services, thanks to our 36 offices that we have in 22 countries. In Hong Kong and China, we also have own offices, and our country heads, Zoe Shu and Maier Coupe, are here with us today out of their offices in Shanghai and Hong Kong. Zoe is in Shanghai and Maier in Hong Kong, and they will share their market knowledge and provide an outlook for future business opportunities in these regions. Please have a look at today's agenda. My colleague Maier will take over now and will lead you through the topics. And I'm very delighted that almost 100 participants are here today with us. And I wish you all a great webinar and hope that you can use some information for you and your company. Please, Maier.
Thank you, Mark. Hello everyone. My name is Maier Coupe. I'm a business development and account manager at Altios Hong Kong. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's my pleasure to share with you the recent events in Hong Kong and the impact of lifting quarantine restrictions in the city. As you may know, Hong Kong has had one of the strictest quarantine measures in the world. But unlike China, we never had any lockdown, no periods of repeated mandatory testing. When the quarantine was introduced, there were 21 days of quarantine, then it was reduced to 14 days, then to 7, then to 3+4, and now we have a newly implemented model 0+3. But what does that mean? It means 0 day for hotel quarantine and 3 days for medical surveillance. During these 3 days, inbound travelers can go outside of their hotels. However, they will still be restricted by health regulations on going to restaurants and bars or any other venue where people are gathering. Beside that, the inbound travelers don't have to show their PCR test prior to boarding. It will be enough actually to show only the rapid test. To allow inbound travelers coming from mainland China or Macau, they can benefit from return to Hong Kong and come to Hong Kong scheme, which actually doesn't have quotas anymore like before. Hong Kong residents can come back to the city without being fully vaccinated. So this is a very positive signal to the business community. However, the business community is still pushing for less constraints, and we can reasonably hope for further improvements in the coming months. So this new model is effective from September 26, and we are hoping to have them removed completely very soon. In the light of easing COVID measures in Hong Kong, we will talk today about 3 important points. First is Hong Kong bouncing back. Second, Hong Kong as a stepping stone to China. And third, post-COVID business opportunities in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is Chinese special administration region, and as one, it benefits from Chinese one country, two systems policy. What is one country, two systems? It means that Hong Kong, being a Chinese city, it has actually its own currency, political and legal systems. The government doesn't have any restriction for foreign ownership. It allows free movement of capital, movement of talents, goods, and information. So it means that Hong Kong has no control on international exchange. Businesses can exchange currencies easily. This is a very important thing. And it was very significant that we had a confirmation from President Xi Jinping in July this year that the policy will stay intact. We had also reconfirmation last week by Chief Executive John Lee, which is also a positive signal to the business community. This policy is important because it has allowed the city to better position itself as an international business city, as well as a gateway to mainland China. So because there was a negative business sentiment recently in Hong Kong, these signals that we have received recently are very important. So Hong Kong has faced challenges many times. So last challenges began in 2019 with political protests, followed by pandemic in 2020. These two challenges, no doubt, have had an impact on business community in Hong Kong. But I would just like to remind you, in 1997, when many businesses and people left the city, thinking that handover actually was the end of Hong Kong's prosperity and its advantages. Several years later, in 2003, Hong Kong was heavily hit by SARS. Nevertheless, the city bounced back, proving its resilience. So if we make a parallel between these events, and if history can teach us anything, I think we can be optimistic about Hong Kong's future and development. Still, no doubt that COVID restrictions made a big impact. Hong Kong's workforce has shrunk by 140,000 just over the past 2 years. A new 2-year top talent pass scheme will be implemented soon. And actually, it's meant to be the goal of this scheme would be to attract talents from all over the world to come to Hong Kong. Beside this scheme, employers will be also able to hire foreign workers without having to prove any difficulties to hire locally, which was not the case so far. Employment visas will be extended to 3 years. So last week's announcement is also a very good signal, which means that Hong Kong really wants to attract talents from all over the world, and together with them, foreign businesses. Now, after lifting quarantine restrictions, Hong Kong can regain its competitiveness. First, its unique trade access. Hong Kong has been actively seeking to expand its free trade agreements in order to secure favorable conditions for Hong Kong goods and services. This network has been developed already, and so far they have FTAs with 20 economies around the world. One of them, the agreement with ASEAN countries, which stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations, will eliminate or reduce their custom duties on goods originating from Hong Kong. For example, the agreement signed with Singapore in 2019 commits to eliminate all the duties, while Thailand, signed the same year, will reduce about 85% of their fees within 10 years, and for another 10% within 14 years. These tariff reduction commitments cover different kinds of commodities coming from Hong Kong, of course, including jewelry, clothing, accessories, toys, etc. So having a base in Hong Kong, companies can benefit from all these agreements. And eventually, the National Belt and Road Strategy will increase these opportunities for Hong Kong to establish free trade agreements with all the countries across the road. The second thing is being international hub. Hong Kong airport used to be one of the busiest in the world. And of course, it has clearly suffered from the strict COVID measures. But with these clear signs of improvement, business people can benefit again from its connectedness. Because located in the heart of Asia, with a 4-hour flight to major Asian cities, Hong Kong is a good base if you want to develop other markets in Asia. Hong Kong is a unique logistics center, has no custom duties on imported goods, and it has a low cost of business operation for international companies. In Hong Kong, there are only 3 taxes: profit tax, salary tax, and property tax. The first profit tax return, a company will receive 18 months after its incorporation, because it's the first year is meant to be non-profitable, so it doesn't count. The first 2 million of Hong Kong dollars has a rate of 8.5%, and after that, the standard rate will be 16.5%. Salary taxes are individual taxes at standard rate of 15%, and there's also property tax, as I said, at 15%. Now that we have covered Hong Kong's resilience and attractiveness, we can move on to Hong Kong's position as a stepping stone to China. There are many Chinese headquarters, many Chinese companies who decide to move to Hong Kong. So Hong Kong can be a good place to meet your Chinese business partners here, even without having to go to mainland China. On the other hand, Hong Kong has been integrated into Greater Bay Area, another big national project. It's an area that represents economic integration of 11 cities, and it's set to be a world-class cluster, ideal for living, working, traveling, etc. Basically, China wants to create another Silicon Valley. And it looks, if you see the map, it looks very small. However, the total population of the GBA is bigger than United Kingdom, Italy, South Africa, or even Germany. The land area is larger than Ireland, Latvia, or Panama. According to the figure of the World Bank, the GBA's GDP is ahead of South Korea, Spain, or Australia. Once China is opened, you can tap into Chinese markets easily with free movement of goods, labor, and capital throughout this zone. And now let me guide you quickly to some of the opportunities that have recently surfaced. There are a few more beneficial points of Hong Kong. First, it's enhancing its position. Hong Kong is trying to enhance its position as a world-class knowledge-based economy. They set a goal to become center for innovation and technology. So in that regard, Hong Kong has been developing a very favorable ecosystem, interactions with like-minded people, events, tradings, etc. Hong Kong companies will be encouraged and assisted to upgrade their technological level and introduce innovative ideas to their businesses by different funding schemes. The government will as well further support the convention and exhibition sector. So in that sense, Hong Kong has established some IT centers, such as Cyberport. Cyberport is a creative digital community of more than 1,650 enterprises, and Microsoft and Lenovo are part of that. The Hong Kong Science Park is the city's largest R&D base and home to about 1,000 local and international companies. The Hong Kong Science Park is actually a campus-like environment designed to promote interaction and innovation at both a local and global level. The second thing I would like to mention is also Hong Kong has highly skilled IP practitioners who work with IP owners in Asia and beyond. They act as their agents. They sell their IP overseas to overseas markets. Hong Kong has set up an online platform and database, which is called Asia IP Exchange. And this platform has over 28,000 tradable IP listings, and it's free of charge. The IP trading is supported by IP laws that are at the highest international standards. We've talked about Hong Kong in regard to, now to move to the third point, we talked about Hong Kong in regard to mainland China and other Asian countries, but even though it's rather small, Hong Kong's domestic market provides many opportunities, especially in the domain of sustainability. Hong Kong has set a very high goal with the Hong Kong 2030 plus strategy to become a smart and green city. But from where they are now to becoming a smart and green city, they have a difficult road to take. So Hong Kong will need a know-how and technology to reach the goal. The government has also made strong commitment to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. This offers opportunities for companies to engage in decarbonization initiatives covering energy savings, green transportation, waste management, and air and water quality. Besides all of this, there are industries with strategic importance to Hong Kong. Life and health technology, that is very important because of the aging society, artificial intelligence and data science, and new energy technology. So to resume, there are plenty of opportunities in Hong Kong with national and international scopes. If you want to test some of these opportunities, a holding company based in Hong Kong can help you with your business in Asia. Or you can even test these markets without a long-term investment, without even having an entity in Hong Kong. So I hope this short presentation has shed light on the situation in Hong Kong and that you could a little bit identify business opportunities for you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. Zoe, I give you the floor.
Thank you, Maier, for your presentation. I'm Zoe Zhu, Vice President of Altus China, in charge of business development and also advisory services. Today's topic is about Hong Kong, but as announced in the video of introduction, I'm going to share some of our analysis on the economic trends in China following to the Congress. Next slide, please. So firstly, China tends to build a legal system more and more strict since years. This trend seems to be a threatening point, but in reality, we feel this policy is more destined to the local companies who have been protected from the central government since years. For foreign companies who are getting used to respect the local regulations already, they will enjoy a business environment with more fairness. So personally, I see it more positively for a foreign investor in China. We can share the example of Dyson here, who had successfully won the litigation against the copycats in China. Those factories are forced to be closed, goods are destroyed, and they had to pay indemnities to Dyson. And secondly, for all the foreign companies in China or not are facing the race of patriotism of Chinese consumers. This is a fact, but let's try to see it differently. We come back to maybe the notion of fairness here again. Fairness is on both directions. So Chinese companies are getting competitiveness in terms of quality. Most of them are less expensive. I think simply, local consumers are not following blindly foreign brands anymore, especially for young consumers. Instead of branding yourself as made in Europe, you have to prove that you are better and you are more efficient. For your marketing campaign, you may talk more about the test results and the quality of your raw material. Chinese consumers are more and more attracted by these tangible selling points. Then we noticed also that during the Congress, trade and investment liberalization and greater self-reliance are simultaneously highly insisted Well, as self-reliance is something encouraged since several years now. But international trade and investment is something that China has neglected since the beginning of the COVID. So now it's back to the table again. What does that mean? It means policies to foreign direct investment will be very advantageous in the coming years. Foreign investors will sure get benefit from that. For example, you may negotiate more tax return and incentives as a foreign company in China. Instead of paying 13% of VAT, you may get maybe 25% of these 13 back by the end of the year. It's the same for the corporate tax or personal income tax. So these are the advantages only if you are a foreign company. And for your information, if you have a company in Hong Kong and you invest into China with your Hong Kong company, your entity in China will be considered as a foreign entity. So which means you can benefit all these advantages. And we have another contradictory pairing here is world-class business environments and a stronger CCP influence. How should we interpret that? It is true that CCP is trying to control the big actors in China. 10% of state-owned companies contribute 50% of taxes in China, but all the resources are more balanced to the private companies. It means if you are an SME, you can benefit from the incentives or subsidies in China, but your final buyer in China, the one in the end of the value chain of your industry, could be a state-owned enterprise. It means you should prepare yourself to deal with them, not maybe in the daily operations, but you should know how to do, how they do, what they need, how do they work. Example, we have recently a medical device company. They are doing the sterilization equipment for hospitals. Final buyers here are the hospitals in China. However, the supply chain in medical industry in China has been reduced to no more than 2 transactions. It means they cannot work with an importer and then tier 1 distributors and then the hospitals. They have to directly work with the tier 1 company. So you can imagine that all the responsibilities of importation and distribution work that are relied on this tier 1 supplier. Under such regulations, local supply chain is favored, obviously. Without localizing their supply chain in China, it is quite challenging, especially when the products are replaceable by local products. Finally, for Hong Kong or elsewhere around the world, sustainability is a very important topic. Massive construction in China, like it used to be in China, will be less and less. Construction projects will be more likely renovation oriented. This can be the opportunity for any of you who are working in the environment or clean tech industry. I will share a renovation project in Shanghai with you. Next slide, please, Maier. So you can see that here is a previous Shanghai shipyard, which has been turned into a leisure center. So we can still see the very industrial decoration or style inside the building. And so this is the trend here today in China, is that we won't destroy anymore the old building, but we will turn it into something new. Yeah. Though it's very industrialized, but it's one of the top favorite places. A lot of QL take photo here. Next slide, please, Maier. So how to better succeed in China? When you are at an early stage to enter into China, you have to choose your strategy carefully. Cultural difference exists even within China. For cosmetic products, for example, people from North China tend to buy moisturizing products because the weather there is very dry, whereas people from South China would prefer the sunscreen better because there are a lot of sunshine there. So people from North are very reserved population. To have a good relationship with your customer is the most important thing. But people from South China could be more price sensitive. So it is also important for you to choose the right business partner, which is adapted to your strategy in China. You can also, for example, focus on the first step in GBA area. Like my colleague Maier said, GBA can be a starting point for you to enter into China market. And we all know that e-commerce is very important, but it cannot replace 100% offline distribution, which is also a proof of credibility of your products. You have to understand that e-commerce is important, but it is also extremely expensive. If you are a B2C company, for a major brand, maybe after 3 to 5 years development in China, including marketing, online boutique management, third-party cost, etc., the whole digital cost could represent 20 to 30% of your total revenue in China. Whereas for the first year, you need to invest into the marketing and branding. The total digital cost could be up to 50 to 60% of your total revenue. So it is an important budget to be planned if you choose a digital strategy in China. And during your implementation phase, you have different ways to accelerate your development in China. For example, trade fairs are coming back to China. Without a local presence, and with such difficulties at this moment for you to travel, you can always rely on the local team, like Autos, to be your representative. What we usually do for our customers is a combination of preparation phase plus the representation during the fair on the booth. We will invite potential buyers, clients of yours prior to the event. This can help to guarantee a better result of your investments on the trade fair. You can also choose a reliable industrial partner to localize part of your production, or you can choose to only have assembly work done in China. This will also allow you to gain more competitiveness. In any way, if you are not able to travel at this moment, our local experts can help you to deal with your different needs during your expansion in China. Finally, please do keep in mind that China market has a lot of potential, but it is a complex market. To secure your investment, you can have an entry door via Hong Kong, which gives you a proximity to China. But most important is as said my colleague Maier, Hong Kong offers an independent legal system, free flow of information and capital. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Thank you very much, Jana and Maier. That was very insightful, and I'm impressed that we made it in half an hour, actually, this complex topic to cover at least some aspects of this within this webinar. We have a few questions. I will choose maybe one last question, so that we can, all the other questions we will answer then in after that with emails or with phone. So please feel free to reach out to us. So maybe this one question to close this webinar, Zoe, it's probably for you. Do you believe China is getting more and more severe after the 20th Congress? And what would be sorry, and maybe I add this question as well. What would be your main advice to working with China while the borders are closed? So like, just if you could.
Yeah, I think China is getting severe. Yes, but how can we treat this this reality? Is that China, as I said previously, China is getting severe not only for the foreign companies. On the contrary, maybe we will be more friendly with foreign companies here in China, but China is getting also severe with the local companies, so the Chinese companies itself. So for foreign actors, finally they will find a more fair business environment here in China. Yeah. So for your second question regarding the mobility, without being possible to be in China, I think you can choose a business partner, have a local team like Altos to help you to contact your business partner. We have recently we have represented our clients to meet their buyers, their business partners. So that's something that we are used to do.
Okay, thank you very much. Perfect. So yes, again, thank you very much, Zoe. Thank you very much, Jan, Maier. And yes,
Thank
as
you.
mentioned before, we will answer all questions after that. And yeah, thank you to all participants that stayed with us. And yeah, I wish you all a good day from here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.